Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am W2Best and I finally made it all the way back home. After I left Amsterdam, I went in one day to Hamburg and then to Copenhagen and then on to Malmö, where I met with my grandfather who is 91 years old and live a little bit outside of Malmö. And then today I finally made the last leg of my trip from Malmö to Gothenburg. Since I just got back home from a 6-week long trip where I basically traveled the whole time with just one bag, I think it's time for the annual bag review. What did I pack on my trip? I did this last year with South Africa, and I did it in the beginning of this year when I got back home after 2 months of South Africa trip again. But now it's been one backpack only, mostly with trains and a few planes where trains wasn't possible, all the way through Europe with Interrail. I'm gonna bring forward my table that I have behind me, and then we're gonna have a look at the bag that I brought and everything that I brought in it. The camera setup that I'm using to film this will not be included in the video since I'm filming the video on it. But the last video I published was actually on exactly this camera setup that I have been using on the trip. So just browse to that video and check out what camera gear I'm using, since it's not gonna be in the bag for this video. Alright, welcome to my little bag review setup table that I just put up here in the studio. We're not gonna make much happen here without the bags that I was using, so let's bring in the bags. Alright, there we have them. And you might be thinking I said bags as in plural. Wasn't I talking about a one-bag trip? Yeah, this was intentionally meant to be a one-bag trip. Although I realized after a while that when you take the train, it's really hard to just have one bag, because most of the time there's not space for a clunky backpack like this one where you're sitting. So you either end up sitting squeezed together with your backpack, or you have to reach up for your backpack that is in this overhead shelf above you, whatever you want from it, and it becomes super impractical every single time that you travel. Instead, I opted to add on a tote bag where I put the most important stuff that I needed on my different train rides, and this solution worked pretty well most of the time. My original thought was actually that I was gonna strap a few parts of the bag on the outside of the bag. So I have these Molly accessory bags that I bought, and the original plan was that these bags would go on the outside, like that. And I also had one for my coffee thermos and a thermos mug that would go besides it. With this setup, I could actually fit all of my stuff, even the stuff that is in the tote bag, into this one bag, and it would close up and it'd actually be no problem. There would still be some space left in it. So for that reason, this is a really solid setup. The only problem with that is that when you put this on, you become pretty long, and with these extra ones, it's kind of hard to anticipate how long you are in the back. So when I turned around sometimes, I would just be hitting people all the time. Especially if you're in a crowded place like a train or a train station or a subway or something like this. Having these accessories on is just not a good option. And I couldn't recommend using it like that actually. So because of that, I started opting for the tote bag and usually wore the tote bag here on the side instead. So when walking with all of my stuff, this is the way I would look. Sometimes I would put the water bottle inside the bag instead of having it outside, depending on if I needed quick access to it or not. As you can see, I have removed the Molly pouches from the back, and I'm just using the Cabin Zero Military 48, which was the bag that I was using during this whole trip. Let's have a look at what I brought, and I'm gonna start off with the tote bag. In the tote bag, I would be bringing my thermos mug that also works as a French press. I brought it all the time and I used it a lot. I really like this item and I made a separate review about it, which you can check out if you're interested to know more. Here I also had the Rocket book. If you're not familiar with the Rocket book, this is a little book that you can write notes in with this special friction pen. And then when you have written this, you can take a picture with your phone. It syncs with whatever digital service that you want to put it on, like Dropbox or Google Drive. And then you can just take some water and some paper and wipe off the pages and reuse it again. I will be making a separate review of this because it's one of the items that really helped me to travel as light and compact as possible. Otherwise, I would probably have worked my way through at least 2 notebooks during one trip like this one. Most of the time, I would be carrying my Osmo Pocket in my pocket, but sometimes I would also put it in the tote bag. I brought one USB-C charger on this trip. It's this one from LV Sun. I've been talking about it in a few different videos and I really like it both for the size, the weight and the length of the cables. I used it with a British cable when I was in the UK, which is super easy. You just buy another British cable and plug it in here instead of the EU cable. So that was my main USB-C charger. And I'd usually put it in the tote bag so that I know that I always have a charger accessible if I need to charge something while I'm in the train. I always bring one of these merino wool buffs, and in this case I always had it accessible mainly because I used it as an eye mask. So when I want to sleep I would just put it on like that, put some earplugs in, and then it would be the perfect way to sleep on the train without hearing everything that is going on around you. As you probably know, I've had a few issues with my computer, my Dell Inspiron 15 7000. So for the reason of the keyboard issues that I had there, I always had my Logitech K380 with me. This one I can use both with my phone and with the computer. For all my typing needs, I was basically using Logitech K380. Depending on where my computer went, I usually also had my MX Master 2S in the tote bag. I have this simple pouch to put it in, but it goes in the tote bag so that it's easy accessible. And this one, sometimes when you put it in the bag, it kind of gets lost in the mess. So if it's like on the bottom of the bag, it's super complicated to get it out. So having that in the tote bag helps me to stay organized. And I just realized that I forgot to tell you that I of course brought a computer along on this trip. And the computer that I have is the Dell Inspiron 15 7000 with the broken keyboard. There will be videos coming up soon about how I fixed this keyboard issue with Dell support. But I've been talking too much about this computer, so probably I just forgot all about it when I was making this video. When traveling, I would also have this little pouch with my noise cancelling earbuds. This is from Bang & Olufsen, and I just bought them before the trip, got a super cheap price for them, a barely used version, and they've been super good. I use them on the trains with noise cancelling, I use them for editing a lot when I've been out of town, I used them while I was DJing in Barcelona. Everything worked out super well with these headphones. In this pouch I also have my external sound card, which is a Dragonfly Black. I basically only use this if I'm gonna DJ, but still it's something that I really need to bring, because when I have a DJ gig, if I don't have an external sound card, I will not have good enough sound from the program where I'm playing. A USB-A to USB-C cable. I would use this to plug into my power bank, which is currently powering the camera, because I think this might be a slightly longer video than what I normally put out. I'm one of the few people probably that always needs to bring a shoe polish product when I'm traveling. I don't like drinking the coffee straight out of this one, so I brought these indestructible cups. And these are from Handpresso, which is a company that make a lot of handheld espresso gear. I don't like their main products very much, but these indestructible cups, sort of like plastic quite thick espresso cups. They really worked well on this trip. And last but not least, I was carrying some coffee in this bag. So when I wanted to make coffee, I would just have to take some from one of these bags, one expensive, one super cheap, that I bought in a supermarket in Brussels. And I would just pour it into this together with hot water, and then I would have coffee instead of having to always go to a coffee shop to get my coffee. Oh, and actually there is one more item. I also got my ebook reader, which is the Kobo Clara HD. I haven't actually made a review about this one, but I will do because now I've had some time to use it. And I got it in this case so that it won't be scratched, because otherwise the screen is relatively sensitive. So Kobo Clara HD with a screen protector and case, that's my main reading device for this whole trip. As for the tote bag, it's just a simple dance camp tote bag. We get these all the time when we're traveling, and this is for the local camp in my city of Gothenburg, Swing in Spring, which if you're a dancer you should definitely attend. That's everything from the tote bag. I think now we cleared the table. The main bag I was using on this trip is the Cabin Zero Military 48 liter. I really like these bags and I swear by them. I think they are the most value for money travel bags that you can get. And they're also one of the most versatile one bag solutions because they are small enough and look good enough so that you can actually use them as a day bag when you get to your destination. If you're using packing cubes, you just unpack the packing cubes and then you pack whatever you need for the day and you have your day bag. I really enjoyed that as a basic setup when it comes to traveling. On the side here, I've got my Clean Canteen, the basic smaller size water bottle with the wood screw cork. Love this bottle and I use it every single day to stay hydrated. On top here I have the case that I thought was gonna go on the outside, but that ended up going on the inside most of the time. This is an interesting one because this is one of the first trips I went on where I decided to bring some gear to be able to eat and to be able to use less disposable items on the trip. So in this one I have a food box that I actually used quite often, and I'm using it right now because I brought lunch in it. I also had a pair of chopsticks. I realized after a while on the trip that I will probably not use the chopsticks very much. I thought I would be making more food, and I love eating with chopsticks because then you eat a little bit slower, but the chopsticks, they haven't been used during the whole trip. I have another one of these indestructible cups from Handpresso if I want to drink coffee together with someone else. A spork that I usually bring that is very simple, but it's made out of titanium and it's from Optimus. I really like this spork, but it's not super handy to eat with, so I brought some other cutlery as well, which was just a regular fork and knife that I just took the smallest ones we had in the kitchen and then brought them along on the trip. That's it for food related items. Let's dig further on into this bag and see what we find. I got a book from my girlfriend and I brought this along, and I actually really enjoyed reading out of a paperback book instead of just reading from my e-reader. So I might be bringing a book on my next trip as well. I just had that for the last week and a half, so before that I was traveling without a book. I had my tech pouch, which is now way less filled than what it usually is because all of the filming gear I'm using is usually in this one. But here I have an extra lens, the 18 to 200 millimeters. I have a tripod that you could have seen in the last video I put up. I have a filter to use with the 16mm f1.4. If it's too bright outside and I want to film, I'll be using this lens to make less light come into the actual lens. I have this little tripod to phone connector, which I didn't use a single time. Sometimes I have been using this a lot, but on this trip I basically only use the A6400 or the Osmo Pocket for all my filming needs. This is a microphone, a lavalier microphone that I actually didn't use much at all, So this is probably something I wouldn't bring on the next trip. And the very last item I have here are my AAA batteries that are extra to use with the Zoom H1N if that one runs out of battery. Next in the bag I have my necessities kit, and this I really downsized from trip to trip. I ended up only bringing toothpaste and toothbrush, a deodorant, the wilderness wash from Sea to Summit that is possible to use for cleaning clothes, for cleaning dishes and for cleaning yourself, a few floss, a few ear cleaners, my perfume that is a firm perfume in this little box, a comb for hair, and a few dietary supplements that are in this little bag right here. That's everything I brought in terms of necessities, and it really worked well. I don't think there was anything I missed in my necessities kit, so I would probably bring pretty much exactly the same stuff on my next trip. Next up, the least used item for how much space it was consuming in my bag. So I brought my drone, my DJI Mavic Air, and I thought I would be making more travel videos. But I sort of realized as I went that I don't really like making travel videos in that way. So I made a few of those train reviews that you might have seen, but I found it super boring and I didn't want to go out filming like everything on the train and sit in the train talking when there's like loud noise around and people are on the phone and everything. So I really didn't find like shooting travel videos that interesting in the way that I probably thought I would find it. So I brought the drone, I brought an extra battery, and I brought the charger for the drone. But this is like close to a kilo worth of stuff that I probably could have left home. The only time I went out flying with the drone was when I was in Berlin and I got some beautiful shots at Tempelhof. This was not nice for this trip, but maybe if I would have brought the controller and not only had to fly it with my mobile phone, maybe then it would have been more fun. But I doubt it. I don't think I will be taking the drone on the next trip I go on. I was dancing a lot on this trip. And one of the most important things when you're dancing is to have a good pair of dance shoes. These are a pair of Crockett & Jones that have been with me for the last 7 years. And I just resold them and repaired them when they break down, and they just keep on going and going. They are for sure my favorite dance shoes. And they were with me and I used them every time I was dancing on this trip. Most of the time I was putting my socks into the shoes to be able to make the shoes as space efficient as possible. But in the end of the trip I was doing some laundry. So I actually had a bit damp socks and I didn't want to put damp socks into the shoes. I just put the socks straight up like that. I had 6 pairs of socks and I varied a little bit during the trip because I bought a bunch and then I threw a bunch away that was kind of small holes or quite worn out. But these are the ones that came back with me, and it's 6 pairs of socks. I had one pretty big cloth item with me, which is this suit jacket. And this one I would mainly use if I go dancing or if I had some kind of nicer dinner to go on. Now that I used it quite a lot on this trip, this is in dire need of some dry cleaning. So tomorrow, first thing in the morning, I'm gonna go to the dry cleaner and I'm gonna leave this so that it can get refreshed a little bit. Because 6 weeks of being rolled up into a small bag, I feel a little bit sorry for this jacket right now. If I'm using Marie Kondo terms, you know, where clothes have feelings. This is a little random together with all the clothes, but I have this little power bank that I actually used quite a bit, but I only use this one when I don't want to bring a bag. So if I want to go out with a power bank, my phone has kind of shitty battery because it's like 2.5 years old. And my power bank is really big. It's like this size and weighs 700 grams. This one I would just take if I wanted a power bank that fits into my pocket so that I could make sure I don't run out of juice in my phone and then don't find my way back to where I'm staying. There are not many interior pockets in this bag, There are two up towards the front and then one here in the very front. But in one of these small pockets on the inside, I kept this little multi-tool that I've been using a lot when I've been traveling recently. And I love this little tool because you have so many things accessible on it. You have a bottle opener, you have a screwdriver in many different forms, you have a cutter in here, you have a measurer, you can screw bolts with it inside of here, and you can pry with it, you can clean your nails with it. It's good for a ton of stuff. I really like this tool and I bring it on most of my trips right now. All of my clothes went into one packing cube. This is the first time ever that I've been going with one packing cube only. Originally I had actually planned to go with two packing cubes, one large and one a little bit smaller. And the smaller one would be for underwear and socks, and that would be a clean dirty one. So I ordered a clean dirty one from Eagle Creek, but this is the medium-sized packing cube, and this ended up being as big as my large packing cubes that I got from Cabin Zero before. So this one became my only packing cube, and this is the clean dirty. So all of my clothes I will use the clean dirty system with. If you're not familiar with packing cubes or clean dirty packing cubes for that matter, they have one side where you can put your clean clothes, and then as you take them out and use them, you then put them in on the dirty side, on the other side, and then you can just take that out when you need to do laundry, you clean it, and then you put it back in, and then you can flip it the other way around. So this is a super handy item for traveling, and I think I will always be traveling with a clean dirty packing cube, because otherwise you just need some extra solution where you know what clothes you've been wearing, where you put them in some extra bag, or you have two packing cubes. It's just a big annoyance, and I really prefer to do it this way with a clean dirty packing cube. So in the packing cube I would be bringing two merino wool t-shirts and one that I'm wearing under this sweater. So 3 merino wool t-shirts was my basic t-shirt setup for the whole trip. 7 pairs of underwear, including the one that I'm wearing, which means that I'm good to use 1 week's worth of clothes, and then I need to do some laundry. Since I was dancing a lot, I need shirts because I mainly dance in shirts and sometimes with a suit jacket together with it. So I had this shirt with an elephant print on it. It's a long sleeve shirt that I really like, and I found it in a secondhand store here. I got this one, a red, more cowboy shirt in a secondhand store in Budapest. And I also had this one, which is my very, very colorful rainbowy shirt that I really enjoy wearing a lot. Those were the 3 shirts that I brought. Moreover, I had one tiny black tie if I wanted to wear a tie. And together with this, I actually did have a white long sleeve shirt, but I threw that one away because it got so worn out from one of the dance camps, from all the dancing. So I just had to get rid of it in Budapest when I was there. Since I'm only traveling with 1 pair of pants, which are the Dur No Sweat Slim pants, I also had a pair of shorts, mainly for the times when I needed to do laundry with the Dur, and then I would be wearing these guys during the time when I did laundry. One thing that I found a little bit annoying with this packing cube because of the clean dirty system is that you can't put all of your clothes in one side. So you lose some space in both sides if you're not packing in both sides simultaneously. This means that I always have to have some things in the dirty compartment. And usually that would be my towel. That is just a tiny little towel, but still, when I'm staying with other people, I don't want to assume that they're gonna give me a towel, so I would always bring a small towel when traveling. Also, I had a pair of slippers, which are from Tom's. Super versatile, good for outdoor use when it's warm, good for some small simple workouts, and really good to use indoors when it's cold indoors, and also you can dance in them if you are on a crowded dance floor and don't want to wear hard shoes like my regular dance shoes. That is everything I pack in this clean dirty packing cube from Eagle Creek. So this is the whole lot that I'm packing in the Cabin Zero Military 48 liter. I have always liked wearing uniforms, and this is the uniform that I picked for this trip. I usually travel with just one basic outfit, and there are some colors that go into this outfit. Usually the base color is black, and then I put on a few colored items to make it stand out a little bit more. Here is the outfit that I was using on this trip. On my feet, almost all the time, R.M. Williams boots. I think they are the perfect kind of boots. They both look good, they're pretty warm, they keep water on the outside, and they are easy to put on and off. So when you're traveling, if you're in security controls, it's super easy to use these boots. You just take them off if you need to put them on security, and then you take them off straight after. If you want to sleep or take them off when you're on a train, it's really easy to do that. Perfect kind of boots for traveling. Also, my gloves that I use when I travel in colder weather. For example, in Germany, it was super cold. Even in Spain, it was really cold sometimes. I like these ones. They are from Sebago. I accidentally ran them in the laundry machine, and I thought I had destroyed them forever. But I spent an hour this morning with a pen working out the inside to make it work again. And I've been wearing them today, and they seem to work fine again. So I'm really happy that these guys, I didn't throw them away. I kept them all the way to the end of the trip, so now I can use them when it's soon becoming winter in Sweden. I have usually my beanie. I started off with a Fjällräven beanie, the blue one, that I also accidentally ran in the laundry machine and completely destroyed because I didn't realize that you can't run it in a laundry machine. That was not the best thing. This scarf has been the scarf I used in the whole trip. It's a scarf that I bought in South Africa, and it could be used both as a scarf or as a small blanket or as a towel or as a beach towel. Yeah, you get the point. It's very versatile, and that's why I like it, and that's why I bring it all the time. Also, the collar is really nice. My rain jacket that I always put on top is a 3-layer Gore-Tex jacket from Nike. There is also a hoodie with it, but the hoodie is completely removable, and I always keep it in my pocket, except when it's raining a lot, then I put the hoodie on. If we remove the jacket, you can see my insulation layer that I use on this trip. This is the Uniqlo down sweater, and it's a super compact down jacket that when you're not using it, packs down into this little bag. And this is actually not the original bag. This is a bag that I got because I thought the original bag didn't compress the down jacket enough. So this one, really recommend it so that the down sweater takes as little space as possible. Find a smaller bag. If I take off the insulation layer, I have my base clothes on me. These are my Dur No Sweat Slim Pants. This is an H&M merino wool sweater, and then there's an icebreaker merino wool tee under this. So when wearing this rain jacket, there are a few things that I really want as quick access to as possible. On the inside here, I would put anything that is very important to bring and have near you. My Interrail pass that I always had to bring to show to conductors on the trains. My passport that I actually didn't need to show that much, only when going into Denmark and when I left the UK. My notebook where I write my goals for every year that I always bring with me wherever I go and as close to me as possible. Some business cards that just say Google me. In this pocket I always keep my Roab sunglasses that fold up neatly and get put into this little case. So if I don't have the sunglasses nearby, I'll probably not use them when it gets sunny. So I keep them in an outer pocket. And then I have my Samsung Icon X headphones, or rather true wireless earphones, I guess you'd call them. And these guys, I would probably do a video talking about them separately, because I don't particularly like them very much anymore. They have been breaking down on me quite a lot. These are all the items that I brought on this trip. And the last question I want to answer is there anything that I thought was missing in this trip? There was actually one item that I ordered before the trip and I didn't receive because it was lost in the post somewhere. And now during the time I was gone, it actually came to my house and I just unpacked it now when I got back home. This little package is actually a tiny little water boiler that I really would have liked to have for making tea or making coffee in my Nespro travel press, the one that I showed you in the beginning of the video. So this, you just put this one in the travel press, this one in the wall in the socket, and then you'd have hot water in like a minute and a half. I tried this thing now and it works perfectly fine. And there would have been times when I really wanted to bring this thing. So I think it was the correct decision to buy it, and it was a sad fact that it didn't show up in time. Except this one, I have to say that I think I had everything I needed and probably more than I needed. Rather than saying that I would add something on to this packing, I would remove some things. I would definitely remove the drone and the whole kit around the drone. I would maybe remove the extra lens that I had for the camera because it weighs around 700 grams and I didn't use it that much. I mainly used a 16mm 1.4 for filming. But except those things, there were just pretty minor changes that I would have made that wouldn't have made any difference in like my total experience or the total weight of the bag. So overall, I'm pretty happy with how I packed. And I haven't been disturbed by my packing at all during this whole trip, and it's been for 6 weeks and I traveled a lot during this time. I think I took about 30 trains and 2 flights during this trip. So yeah, you get it, it's quite a bit of traveling. I love making these videos. I get pretty like into it. I hope you also got some enjoyment out of the video, and if you want more of my content, I make content about tech, travel and inspiration on an as regular basis as possible. Please subscribe to the channel and then I will see you in the next one. Have a really nice day. Bye bye.